Sure hope so. That was that's a anytime you're playing against, especially in a game like that, they were doing some no huddle stuff and the communication. We had some. That's where the errors came. We had that's really the first game in a while we've had guys left uncovered. So and that had a lot to do with the miscommunication. So, he's made great progress. He's got a lot. I tell him all the time. I don't. For me, his ceiling is so much higher than where he's at. He's man. I mean, he's a workhorse. Does a great job. I mean, he's he's had, with I think a really good year. Uh, Moving around, doing different things with him. He plays an enormous amount of snaps. I wish we could minimize that a little bit more because I think that hurts sometimes with productivity. I got him going on punt return. We're going to look at him on kickoff return this week a little bit, ways to get him the ball. He's really good at that. He wants to do those things. So he's just got to continue to mature, and but I don't think he's 10% as good as he can be. That's how much more growth I think he has, and but he's been. It's nice to have him out there to throw the ball to. Well, it's hard to do that because Jalen, went to junior college his first 2 years, and so I didn't see him there. But I mean, that's, I'm kind of careful about that. I mean, Jaden's strong now. That's pretty high standard. That guy was, for us and what he did for us and how dynamic he was and taking the ball. He'd take balls to the house and all that. And I think Nikhil can be as good as he was. And maybe I think be better. But he's just got to continue to work. It's really, really hard for guys that are very, very talented to understand how important it is to get better fundamentally. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I told you Nikhil has that Jalen had as well, is they work. They work hard in practice, But it's all the other things. It's not just, you can't just, you got to have all those things. And I think Nikhil's grown a lot in that regard. And he wants to be the best in the country. So when you ask me those questions, that's the standard I'm coaching him at, and he'll tell you I'm on him, and I'm trying to be demanding because I want him to reach his goals, and we're a ways from that. And no, I'm not surprised when he catches the fades and catches those things. I'm not surprised when he's gone in there and run some of the sparky stuff. I wasn't surprised when he I see him every day, so it doesn't surprise me. When you don't have a guy like that, and I think even you talk about Jalen, when you don't have those guys, you miss them because they can do an awful lot. So, but my challenge for him is, he gets when you're the arguably one of the best receivers in the Pac-12. And on our team, it's so hard because, you get so much positive and everybody's telling you how great you're doing. You just got to keep your head down and understand, where he wants to be and what his goals are. And it's that neither one of those are in his goals. His goal that he told me he wanted to do, he wanted to be the best in the country. And he wanted to be respected by his teammates and to be a leader on our football team. And so to do that, he's got a lot of work to do in that regard. So that's kind of the way I look at that, because I think that's one of the things that hurts a guy. I think you look at guys that have a lot of success. I don't want to name people, but people will have a great year and then they'll come back and they don't have as great a year. And a lot of it is because you sit around and talking about how good you are, or talking about how everybody telling you how good you are. In all reality, I'm being honest in that, he's not even close to what his potential is. And so the best thing to do is ignore all that stuff. Now, he is, he's the guy. I mean, he's the guy that, so is Kyle Williams. So is DeMario Richards. I mean, we got a lot of guys that we want to get the ball to. But this is a performance business, and you have to perform. You know what I mean? And I think he's done a great job. But there's not, he ain't anywhere close to where he needs to be. I think his mental maturity, I think he's getting better in that regard, not being, he's such a competitor, and sometimes, that can be good and that can be bad. You just got to, play the next snap. He gets a lot of double coverage, and he can get frustrated. I think he's done better at that. I think he's growing and maturing. It's not something that, I tell people, it's so self-awareness is big for great players, because I just don't think very many people want, everybody wants to cheer for great players. They just don't want to coach them. And I'm not gonna be the cheerleader. I'm gonna coach them. And I think that in doing that, that's being honest, and that's pushing them and being demanding. And I think he's handled that and has grown in that. I still think we got a long way to go. And the intangibles, those things, the mental maturity part, as he grows and continues to mature there, is what's going to propel him to where he wants to be, and that's to be the best. I think we got a lot of work to go to get there. The different games, different matchups, different opponents, who you're playing. That has been a conscious effort for us. You run 98 plays, you should score more than 30 points. And I know we scored 37. But we blocked a punt and scored that one. So, because it's so hard, you got to do things to win the game. And so there's games that we've had to, I think the formula for us winning is snaps and time of possession and controlling the ball and minimizing how many snaps we have to play on defense. So I think in that, sometimes you can get kind of suckered into that and you don't get your shots. That's something that's important, that we get those shots. I think we had 3. We had 3 vertical shots last game. We should not come out of a game with less than 10. But I just want to win. I don't care how many shots we have. Does that make sense? But you gotta. It's like if you don't get up to bat, you don't get a chance to hit one out of the park. Okay, so that's something that is a good question. That has been a topic of discussion quite a bit. I have been, the kids would tell you in the last weeks or so. One of the things is trying. That's been the hardest thing to because everybody uses the term. It's like I'm gonna run a 4-3 defense. I'm a hybrid defense. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean? There's 100 different variations. Everybody says we're an attacking defense. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean? It's so tempo to me. You seen it in that first half of UCLA game. That was tempo. Relentless. That was relentless tempo working. And you have to make first downs to do that. But I think our guys, that's been what's been, because everybody in the country is talking about tempo, but not everybody does it the same way. Does that make sense? And so one of the things is if you haven't been doing it that fast, it's also hard for you to be able to do it. So I think that, one of the things that we needed to try to maintain was to be able to play 4 quarters of tempo like that. And we were able to, most people don't even remember, but when we first come here, that's how we were able to have the success we had offensively. It wasn't that we had more talent than we have right now or anything like that. I mean, I think obviously there's different players, different years. I think that's what Taylor Kelly's value was so high, because he understood that. He understood how to activate the other 10 guys and to get the tempo going. And then you would throw the ball on air a lot, or you would run the ball. You can see how easy it is to run the ball when people aren't lined up. It's a good deal. So tempo's been something that I've been emphasizing. And after the first drive that we scored, and we went up 14. I turned around to Billy and I said, "Now that is tempo." That's what he said. "I got you, Coach." That's wow. That was like, and our guys are like about to fall over. I mean, we were rolling. So, but you can't change the plan. We put a plan in here 6 years ago. You can modify the plan, you can adapt the plan, and you better adapt to your players each year, because your players are constantly changing, right? Because they graduate and they only get so many years. So, but the plan's got to stay the same. We're a tempo team. And we're starting to get that, and I think that's one of the things that's allowing us to be more effective running the football. I think when we weren't effective running the football is because we weren't able to run tempo and we weren't able to make the first down. That was what was hurting. We're having too many negative plays, and so we've kind of worked through all that, and now we got to get a little bit more explosive, as far as, because it's too hard to score on 16-play drives all the time. I don't know if that makes sense, but. Well, there's two factors. I mean, you got to get off the field defensively. If we'd have got off the field the other night on some third downs, or we would have got some negatives on. We got no negatives as far as sacks. If we could have got some negatives, you get behind in the count, then you get off the field. We would have played 60, 70 snaps. You'd have played 10 less snaps. Every time you get a takeaway, you play 5 less snaps on defense. Every time you get a 3 and out, it's approximately 2.5 less snaps that game. Does that make sense? But we can't manage it any better than we managed it. I mean, as far as controlling the football, we had 98 snaps. We ran 78 on defense. And if we would have made some plays or had some negatives, got some sacks, had some things happen where we'd have got off the field and had some 3 and outs, right? We only had 2 3 and outs the whole game on offense. I mean, so we controlled the ball the way we needed to control it. We need to score points in the gold zone and that type of stuff. But 20 more snaps than the opponent, you should win. So you got to get off the field. We didn't play good enough defensively to get the snap count where it needed to be. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I mean, we start. I'm not saying that's not a goal of our program. I'm just saying that that's just not something. I'm just being honest with you. I mean, we talk. We work these kids too hard. We ask too much of them. We want to compete for championships, and that's what anybody. There's nobody in the country that whatever they tell the media, well, we're just going to play one game at a time or whatever. That's not what anybody has up in their rooms. Our goal is to be Pac-12 champions, and you can look; they're written all over the wall what we tell our players. But they know. I mean, this is important to them. They've worked. This group has sacrificed, worked hard. We've beaten some. We've done some pretty quality things, but we've fallen short of our goal of being Pac-12 champions, compete for that championship. But that doesn't mean to minimize that it's not important to go to a bowl game. That is vital. That's something that we feel like is that has to happen each year because it hurt us tremendously last year, losing those practices. I think losing that confidence you have from we went 4 straight bowl games. So this is important. Don't get me wrong. I guarantee I'm emphasizing how important it is. that every game we win, but to be bowl eligible and to go into the postseason is something that's very, very important to keep building our program. And these guys work too hard not to do that. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's something we need to do. We need to go win the last. We can control two things, the next two games, and the one in front of us is most important. And so we've got to go on the road to do it. We know it's going to be a challenge. We know absolutely our guys we had one of the best practices we had all year today. I mean, our guys understand how important it is. They know, Stanford went down the last play and could have very easily lost this game, and they'll probably. I mean, they got a good chance to be the champion of the North. So, and we know what kind of football team Stanford has. So, and they almost lost there. Colorado went down to the last series or whatever. Could have lost there. So that's the last two home games they played. The senior day, these guys got to. Their kids play hard. I haven't seen any quit from them at all. And they're a team that is very, very capable. They've already shown that. And so we've got to go in there hungry. We got to go in there focused, and we got to know what we're playing for, and it's important what we're playing for. And then obviously go to the next one. AJ, I think, has had a solid year. I think he's done a good job. I mean, I got on him about getting the hands of the face penalty. But I tell you, he's been a guy that has been. We challenged him. He had to fight for his job. But you know what? He rose to the occasion, and we tried to take him out and put somebody else in, and he's a fighter. He's a tough guy. He's a guy I'm really, really proud of. Because he put his head down, his nose down. He said, "No, this ain't happening to me." And he's been very, very consistent all year long. And I'm really, really proud of him. He's done a great job for us.